Hello, everybody. Um, I am sorry, but there is a slight change of plans here because I've been so busy and I've been doing so much stuff that my table right now is definitely not uh, suitable for working on a box. So what I'm going to do instead, because I received a lot of requests on showing more canes for the um, cabinet knobs. Morning. um, and in other color, whatchamacallit, color recipes and color combinations. This is what I will be doing, and then not only do this, but explain a little bit in more detail how you can create your cane in order to achieve, hi Fran, in order to achieve a certain flair, if you want, of that specific cabinet knob. Now, if you want to go for old style ceramic, hi Lynn, that would be like the one that I showed in the tutorial. You need to go for something that is on a darker background. If you want to go for something that is on a lighter note and more towards porcelain, then you go on a lighter background. I guess most people like better the darker background because it gives a feeling of old, if you want. And if you want, one of the easiest ways to do a porcelain style one, if you look, there's a rose cane that's fairly known. And if you look in my video list, you can find it. Or do I have all kinds of little things here? Um, and that one, if you place it on white, it will be absolutely fabulous and it will look exactly like China. But to go forward on how to create a cane for the cabinet knobs. And again, we will finish the box next Sunday. As you can see, I have chosen here, generally speaking, start with two colors. That's the main thing you need to know. And one should be a darker color and one should be a lighter color. And obviously, they must not be in the range. Let me turn on this light. They must not be complementary because when you'll create the Skinner blend, you will get brownish mud at the wherever they meet in the gradient. But as a general idea, you start with, hold on, I lost my view. You start with a lighter color and a darker color to do your gradient. Then you will have black and white. That has two purposes. One is to get your gradient a little bit lighter if you want on the lighter side, but also to darken a little bit, because if you put that flower on a darker background that is similar to the darker side of the Skinner blend, so you will create the background by mixing the darker side with a little bit of black. And then if you do either with plain white or with a very, very lightened mix of the lighter color of the Skinner blend to do all those little arabesques and also to kind of line the flower thing, then you will have a design that will pop up very, very nicely. So let's put this into practice. And as I said, I have here cadmium yellow and alizarin crimson. You know, I love alizarin crimson. And then I have black and white, and I hope that the white will not cause me trouble because the white is again very, very soft. So I'm going first to start by making my Skinner blend. And for this, I'm going to take a square. Everything is on the thickest setting. Remember, whenever you try to measure, put all your clay on the same setting. It doesn't matter if it's the thinnest or the thickest, as long as it's all the same thickness. And then use a cutter. It doesn't matter the shape of the cutter. I personally prefer the square one because when I have to cut, and I'll tell you here in a second why. But it doesn't matter the shape of your cutter. All that it matters is that you use the same cutter to cut everything. Now, why I prefer the square cutter? Because I can cut it. Because, for example, some recipes require, let's say, 4 parts of white and 1 part of alizarin crimson. Now, if I were to go by 4 parts of white and 1 part of alizarin crimson, I would have to get 1 square of alizarin crimson and 4 squares of white. So I will get a whole bunch of mix that I might or might not. Hi, Celeste. I might or might not have use for, but with a square cutter, I can simply use 1 square of the white and then cut a square of the alizarin crimson and then cut it in 4, and then I have 4 quarters of the square, so 4 parts and 1 part. This is why I prefer the square one. So going back to our thing, I am going to use 1 square of alizarin crimson, 1 square of cadmium yellow, and half a square of white. Now, if you notice, that's another perk. If you notice, I have a fairly straight line here. So I don't really need to cut a full square to cut it in two. What I can do is to just do this. Now, you know that I am quite the rebel when it comes to Skinner blends. Normally, for a Skinner blend, you are supposed to cut these in triangles and then puzzle the triangles together to form a proper Skinner blend. But whenever you are trying to do a Skinner blend that is simply and plainly just a gradient, you don't want to have, hi Teresa, you don't want to have any kind of, because there are some Skinner blends that you need a specific amount of a specific color. When you're trying to do a just plain simple Skinner blend, hi Soile, then you can use this very, very easily and you will not mess up anything. So what I'm doing, you see I have the square. I want to have a plain alizarin crimson at the end. And I want to have a semi-plain white. I mean, I want to have a very, very light yellow, but not pure white. So, and I want a transition between the yellow and the alizarin crimson. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to put them like this, with the corner coming exactly in the middle here. And then, because that will leave me quite a bit of yellow here, because the alizarin crimson is just a little corner here. And then I will be placing my half here. Now, of course, they would be kind of hard to grab by the pasta machine. So what I'm doing, I'm going to gently flatten them a little bit and then cut right in the middle. And cut right in the middle properly. And then simply place them like this. Because see, this way, now I have two straight lines here. So all I have to do is now to flatten them to the point that I can pass them through the pasta machine. And yes, I do have two corners of the alizarin crimson here, but I will take care of this in a second as soon as I flatten these enough. And then all I have to do is to cut it one more time and then simply place it where the corners are overlapping. And now I have again something that's fairly squarish. And I promise you it won't take me too long to do this, even if there's a huge difference between the yellow and the alizarin crimson. I don't advise you to go on the thinnest setting on the pasta machine unless you are very conversant with doing Skinner blends. And yes, I will move the camera on top of the pasta machine so you can see how I do the Skinner blend. Okay, there we go. So I will first start on the thickest setting. If you don't know your machine can stand properly going from a thick setting to a thin setting, go down gradually. So first I'm going on the thickest setting. Then you can go one or two down. And then again, one or two down. Now, why you don't go on the thinnest setting if you are not, if you don't have a lot of experience? Because a lot of times on the thinnest setting, if you don't know how to hold the sheet, it will kind of move on you, and you're going to mess up your gradient. So now, in order to do the gradient, I'm going to just fold it like this and keep folding it the same way. Now, you see how it got wider and wider and wider. In order to, because you cannot go that wide, if you want to get it back together, simply you fan it. And you can use your roller. I'm so used to do this that actually let me use the rollers so you can see how it's done. So just place it back here and make sure it's straight. Your lines are fairly straight. And then simply flatten it some more. So it would go straight in your pasta machine. It will not start doing this and that. And then to make sure that that's what's going to happen and I won't have any surprises, I simply get it up and fold it once so that I will have a straight bottom here for the machine to grab, not little ragged ends. And then we start again. And this time probably we'll get the final thing. And now that I got to this point, I need this to be much longer. See, my gradient is done. But in order to do a nice fan fold or a jelly roll, I need this to be much longer. And for this, I will actually cut it and stack it so I can get a fairly straight strip. I'm going to get my straight strip in the middle. See how I have one straight strip right in the middle. And I'm going to get this. And then I'm going to get this. And the easiest way is to place straight on straight. Yeah, they will get a little bit more elongated, but that's fine as long as you place them where they should be in the gradient part, because the ends are more pure color. Now, very important, because otherwise, if you don't do what I'm going to do now, they might start separating one while you're passing them through the pasta machine. What you want to do now is, first of all, take it off so it will not be stuck and it will have room to wiggle. And you press to make sure that they are well stuck together. Because otherwise, as I said, they might separate, especially towards the end, if they are not well stuck together. And now we can get it through the pasta machine on a very thin setting. And we have this beautiful long strip. Now, it depends also on how comfortable you are with the short stack. Hi, who came? Tanya? Hi. But usually I like to do one gradient in one way and the other gradient in the other way. So what I usually do, because I'm very comfortable to working very short stacked, but if you're not yet comfortable to do that, you can make this strip wider, because what I'm going to do is to actually cut it in two in length. And I'll try to do a good half cut. As much as I can. You don't have to be absolutely perfect. Now with one of the halves, I'm going to do a fan fold, because it's very nice to have a little bit of different designs of the gradient in your canes, generally speaking. Oh, come on. And usually I do the fan fold quite tight, so I don't get a lot of lines when everything is said and done. And just to say, I think I have a little bit too much alizarin crimson, so I'm going, this is pure alizarin crimson, so I'm going to get this away. So I got my little fan fold and I'm going to put it aside. Now, how do I want my jelly roll? With the dark side in or with the light side in? I think that I want the light side out, not in, because I want to make a play of color. So all you do is to roll from one end to the other, and very careful so you don't start going sideways when you roll. And as I said, you don't have to go as thin as I do. The most comfortable height that people who are not very used to making canes find easy to work with, that I found, is about 3/4 of an inch. So that would be about 2 centimeters. And I got a little bit on the side, but that's fine because I can just flatten it here. So I have one jelly roll that I'm going to reduce a little bit thinner and a little bit taller. And white is giving me trouble. It is, and they had the same thing with the white last summer. I think I said that before. With the, hi Julia, hi Plaque, that's how you're saying your name. When they had the white the same, I mean, it's very not necessarily soft, because even if you leach it, it still has the same thing, but it's very stretchy, which makes it very hard to handle in canes. And not only. I gathered some stuff here. You see how it comes out from the side? Maybe I should have put it in the middle, but I wouldn't have had the same effect that I'm trying to achieve here. I'm going to just have to cut these ends. You know how normally I don't get deformation at all, but with this white it's horrible. Okay, we have our oh God, those cats outside. Now let's gently reduce the fan fold. And here try to keep it all equal on one side and the other. Okay, now let's start thinking about creating the flower. Yeah, I know, and the souffle is bad too. No, they never admit. They never admitted they changed the recipe with peacock, blue, pearl, or with anything. So always we never. I think that what they have several manufacturing sites, and in one of the manufacturing sites, somebody's not doing their job properly. I think that that's what's happening. Okay, now let's think about how we are going to construct our flower. It would be nice to have, and of course, we are talking here about a stylized flower, not a regular. Why did you get seasick? Is my camera doing this, making you seasick? Um, Unfortunately, the Hangout doesn't allow me to go into camera settings to be able to do focusing, manual focusing, and that's why I have to leave it on autofocus, and that changes every time I move my hands. Okay, so we are talking about a stylized flower, right? And what we have to think about when we create the cane, the easiest way is to think in terms of half a flower. That's how we start, because then it's the easiest thing in the world to just reduce it, cut it, and put it together, and you have, and it's not even a flower, but more of a petalish component of the flower. So if I would go, and this is, I'm showing you how I'm generally, I don't always draw them, but this is how I envision them in my head. And let me actually grab a piece of paper that's white, not a wax paper. So I am thinking in terms of a background that would be related to the alizarin crimson, and I might even make a gradient background between a dark alizarin crimson and black. Then I will want a few lines that would underline my petally things. Okay, so I made this because I want the center of this petalish element of the final flower in the cane to be a little bit of a focal point. So I'm envisioning it something like this, and maybe with some arabesque here. Let me get I thought I had a marker here because it's easier to see. Okay, so I'm envisioning the middle of the petalish element, something like this, with some kind of arabesque here. And then one petal like this, and then one petal like this. And then maybe some more arabesque going like this, but a very fine one. So that whenever I will reduce it into a triangle, so number one, I will have this, the center of the triangle element. What? Yeah, it seems it's batch related. Yeah, and they had issues with the translucent as well. So whenever I will reduce it and double it, first of all, when I will reduce it, I'll first make it into a triangle. So once I make it into a triangle, this area here, all this area, will get squished a little bit in. So I will have this like this. This will come like this. And it will make a very nice component. So I need to make sure that I have some underlining between these petals, between them and between the petals and the center. The other thing is that this will be extended this way and will come a little bit down. So it will be something continued, something like this. Do I like this design? Okay. What was the deformation that lost you, Lynn? I will show you here in a minute exactly what I'm talking about as I create the cane and we can compare it to the drawing. So what I need to do, I do have the petals. These will become two petals. This will become the center. Now what I need the underlining elements. So I will have to have some type of, I'm thinking to make another very small line of Skinner blend, but this time place it backwards with the light part because the petals will be with the dark part inside and with the light part outside. And if I put another Skinner blend that will be sandwiched between some white, that would be like this. That will absolutely enhance the, oh, just reload. It happens sometimes. It will enhance. Or I can do another thing and I can do just a plain black and white sandwich to go in between them, and that will give it a look, a more designer look if you want. Now here it's very delicate. Here I would go for this line, I would definitely go with the Skinner blend of yellow and white, with the yellow being here and with the white being here, and then create the background. As I said, I am leaning towards a Skinner blend of black going towards alizarin crimson on the edges. Hi, Colleen. Yeah, I'm sorry, I had to reschedule it. Okay, so number one, I'm gonna make a little bit of gradient yellow and white. And for this, I'm going to use a little bit less yellow than white. So this is one of the gradients. And again, as I said, I'm very informal with the Skinner blend. Then I'm going to do, I need to keep some for the sandwich, but I'm going to have black and white sandwich. And then I'm going to do a Skinner blend of alizarin crimson and black. So I'm slightly manipulating my stuff here. And I will need a little bit more black than alizarin crimson, but I'm still not going to use all of it. It's a little bit too much. So here I go. I created my black and alizarin crimson. And I don't know how to set this light anymore because it's overcast outside, but sometimes it gets more overcast than other times. So it's really irritating. Then I will have these in a sandwich and these in a Skinner blend. So let's see how it works. I'll try these very fast. No, I think it's my camera move on that's messing her up. And this one. And see, I keep using this fan folding when it gets too wide. And the whole secret is to make sure that you keep your lines straight when you get back to it. Why I went with it so many times in length? Because I wanted to do a nice fan fold to get a little stack going. And then one more thing is to do the aligning of the petals. Okay, now I have all my elements. Now let's see. Oh no, I need one more. I need to actually make this one thicker. Let me get it through the pasta machine on the thickest setting this time. And grab a black and get it through as well. Okay, now let's start building the whole thing. Get this out of the way for the moment. First, I'm going to do the middle. Now, remember that we are discussing here half of it. So obviously I will have to cut this in two. And try and get close enough and hope that my camera will cooperate. And this is a little bit too. Oh. Okay, so I'm going to cut this in two. And what I'm going to do is to gently deform this. See how I'm deforming it towards the outside. Then I will gently deform this too, but this one I will deform even more. On one end, I'm going to actually make it more in a line. I need this even more thinner. Okay, so this is my middle element, this one. Hi, Cecile. So now let's go on the petals. So obviously I will need two equal petals. So this one needs to be cut in two. And the petals need to be Number one, let me see if I have them the same length, and the petals need to be a little bit thinned out at the tip and at the bottom. So I have one petal. Okay, you cannot see what I'm doing here. And the second petal. Maybe it's too low. So now I have my petals. Now what I need to do is to actually line the petals, right? So let me get a straight line here. And also another thing I need to do is to make this into a cane. I'm making a cane for a cane for the cabinet knobs and explaining how you design one in the same style of the one that I did before. Okay, now it's about, and remember I will have alizarin crimson on the end, so I don't have to bother about this being longer than it is right now. So I am going to start now. Do I want the white outside? Obviously, I want the white on the outside. And I think it's a little bit too, just a second, it's a little bit too wide. And there we go. So I wrapped one petal. I'm wrapping the second petal, again with the white on the outside. And then I will start wrapping this. But then stop here. And I'll show you in a second why. So I want to stop about here. Now I will thin this out even more. And at this point, remember I said I want an arabesque here. Here's my arabesque. See now why I stopped here after I wrapped the end? Yeah, you can bake. Yeah. I showed before my little mermaid babies. Yeah, hold on. Let me go bring one here and I'll show you. They survive perfectly. Just make sure it's perfectly clean, otherwise it will stink out your house. See, this is baked in the shell. The body goes all the way inside. They survive without an issue. Why am I clever again? Yeah, it's early for you, Teresa. It's very early. Okay, now let's start working with this. And I might have to make some more of this. But first, obviously, I need some here. Now, remember, we are aiming for a triangle that would be about, trying to grab something to show you. That will be about like this. Okay, this is how it will. With the line here, it will be about like this. So I don't need to put a whole bunch of the filling in there. Just make sure that it's all nice and even all over. So, and of course it helps when you cut with the sharp part of the blade, you know, it helps so much. So I don't know, I should have gotten this camera lighter, but usually it's too bright. So I got this, and I'm going to put it here and see how I need to make a little bit of room for that. So I'm going to use, I mean, you can use anything to bend this part. I'm going to just use the little cane bender to make a groove here. And the groove needs to be bigger than this. There we go. And then my first petal. I'm going to get the second. Slice of this. And again, I'm making sure that it's the proper height. Okay, I have no idea what's going on in the chat. You guys lost me completely. Okay, so I put the second thing here, and then I will be adding the second petal. And now I will be adding the third element of the background. That will go pretty much like this. Now here I will have alizarin crimson. filling. Does this look at all like what I showed you? Okay, let me grab some more alizarin crimson. And remember, I still have this, right? Now, I think I want to underline this a little bit. So I'm going to place some thin black on it. The black is about half the thinness of, so it would be about 4 or 5, and this one is on 0 on my machine. So I'm going to place the black on the white and do a second spiral element. Remember I said spiral element arabesque. So this will come here, and I want it to end pretty much there. So I turn this one on this in this direction, and the other end I will be turning it vice versa. If you guys go on my website, you know that this is kind of a modified Greek key element. Because now you see you have 2 arabesques here. And now all I have to do is to do some filling. And for this, I'm going to place first some alizarin crimson here. And I need this part to be a little bit thicker to accommodate the triangle base. I'm just making a little stairs like thing. And then I need to put some more alizarin crimson on top. And I will have some going like this. And I have a little spot here that I didn't cover. So let's make a little string. Oops, sorry, I didn't mean to hit the camera. And cram it in here. And then we want this separate. We don't want it to touch on either side. So I'm going to place a little bit of alizarin crimson on both sides. here, and here. And now we are ready to form the triangle element. Oh, alizarin crimson, yeah. I'll have to figure out the recipe for Fimo and Cernit. You know what? I think I want some black here. Do I have black left here? I want some black right here. Give me just a second to grab a black. Okay, because I don't want this petal to be in contact with the next petal. So I'm going to place some black right here. No, straight from the pack. I know it looks a little weird. I don't know why. I noticed that the granite board changes a little bit stuff. Now, remember when I said that there will be a little bit of deformation here, and now it's going to happen as I'm going to triangularize this. And I needed to have a straight angle here. Okay, almost done. And almost ready to create the petal element. Now let me make sure I get my angles right. And first, let me cut the, where's my other, there you go. Let me cut the deform ends. And let's cut this in half. And there we go. I didn't cut it perfectly in half. Oh, well. And remember, this will become round. And this is pretty much, let me cut the extra thing from here. But it will look very rich. And it's up to you if now you want to make it with 6 elements or with 8 elements. Let me see if the camera wants to cooperate. There you go. Okay, that's fine. Go to sleep, Fran. Okay, now it's going to take me just a little bit to reduce it some more so we can do the round cane. Now remember, and I kept saying in a lot of the videos where I make canes, whenever you reduce a triangle, press on the corner here. Press down on the corner. Don't press on the sides of the triangle because it's going to bow your cane. Press on the triangle, on the corner of the triangle, and at the same time pull a little bit, because these very corners, these very edges have the tendency to stay behind. And the sides do too, but that's why you need to press down and then pull. And from time to time, set it against that, with the end against the table, so you don't waste that much clay. And at this point, you can start pulling it a little bit. Let's get rid of these again. And this time, let's try and use the ruler to cut it, actually. I have almost 3 inches. Let me get it to 3 inches. Okay, I managed to bow the ends a little bit, the edges a little bit. Okay. I'm really bad at cutting from the side, not from above, and because of the camera, I cannot cut from above. I got much better though. Now let's create half a circle. No, this is for, I told you, I got a lot of messages if I could show more cane work for those cabinet pulls. And of course, it's advisable to actually wait, not cut all at one, because it's very, very soft right now and it gets deformed. I usually let it rest between cutting and stacking. And this is almost the size that you need. So if you follow the quantities I gave you, you should come up with pretty much the size of cane for the exact, most of the cheapo wooden cabinet knobs that are on the market. Now, of course, you can replace this with other things. For example, try violet going to an exceptionally light turquoise. It will be beautiful. And with the same thing, with using the same, exactly, just replace the yellow with a very light turquoise. I would say make it with like 2 parts white, 1 part turquoise clay, and then violet, and then the rest do it exactly like this. It should come up beautiful. You can do it with ultramarine and white instead of yellow. Another pretty combination is alizarin crimson and wasabi. Even violet and wasabi, but just make the wasabi lighter. Okay, now I'm going to try and cut it without deforming it too much so I can show you the slice. It's going to still get kind of deformed because it's so soft right now. But there you go. Come on, camera, come on. Cooperate. There you go. So now you saw what I was telling you about the deformation when you get it into a triangle. Okay, so next Sunday we will continue with the box, and hopefully I will have soon that embossing metal sheet to show you how to do the mold for the fairy wings, because I think that will be the best done in a separate tutorial. And then look forward, because as soon as I finish, hopefully today, the things I'm working on for the sponsors, then I should post something on YouTube. A few somethings, actually. Quite a few somethings that are in the works, but I must first finish the sponsors things. And yeah, I did not forget, we are going to make some cane work edging on the box. Okay, thank you for being here. And here's another model for the cabinet knobs. And I shall see you next Sunday. And don't forget to check my Facebook, because I always put up all kinds of things. Okay, have a wonderful Sunday. Goodbye.